Fortnite, you're going to be speaking to me with a little more reverence and respect than you did prior to this.
If I try to play beyond the hype.
How come I'm getting like Fisher Price questions?
Guys, what's your favorite color? Greetings and welcome to the Supply Drop, episode 57, a game podcast created by the Simon, the Theodore, and the Alvin of video games. My name is Nate. I'll be your host. I am joined by two other co-hosts today, the first being Scott.
Hello, everybody.
Scott, think on your feet real quick. What is one of your guilty pleasures? Something you're not supposed to like, but you like.
I watch those atrocious ghost hunting videos on YouTube.
I don't know those. I don't know those.
Yeah,
Is it the old stuff or is it like?
I'll watch anything. I don't care.
As long as it involves ghosts.
Right.
As long as it involves ghosts.
As long as it involves like people walking around and
with a little device.
Right, with all these devices that have words that spew out of a radio, and then any sound that they hear is obviously a dead person. And and it's usually, you can find them on YouTube where it's like the night we almost died, or this location almost killed me, I don't know. Even the TV shows, yeah, especially was it Ghost Adventures with Zach? I think it's Zach Baggins or Bagans, or I don't know. God, that guy's such a ham. I mean, it's just, it's not something I usually, it's not something I usually like, hey, I'm really into this. No, I watch this for sheer entertainment because it is just, it is funny. It's just hilarious to me.
I was on the plane next to someone last week, and they told me that there's some YouTube channel called LA Flight that just literally has people outside the LA airport. They just watch planes come in and out, and they talk about the planes. I'm like, and this dude's like, I watch that because I'm into airplanes. I'm like, dude, you have Asperger's, But
well, I mean,
anyway.
you could be into planes, but like commercial airlines. I guess people are into trains.
It's a thing.
Yeah, I could see that. My wife, my wife watches plane crash like documentaries. On YouTube, there's a lot of like, this is how this happened and the mystery behind it, and then how they figure out what happened. I mean, they're interesting, but I don't like to watch because I watch two of those and I will never get on a plane again.
Right. Yeah. All right. The other voice you heard is none other than Thick.
Hello.
Thick, do you believe in ghosts?
More or less, sure. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Scott, you?
I'm open to it.
So you're pretty... I guess I'm more negative on that.
I have my own theories. How about that?
They're controversial theories. That'll get you canceled.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, before we get started, I want to remind listeners they can drop us a comment, question, or insult at the Supply Drop Podcast YouTube channel.
Yep.
Scott, why don't you tell everyone how your week went?
Oh, my week was not a very game-centric week. Yeah, I had a lot of real life stuff to take care of. But also, I'm kind of in that period, and you guys may know what I'm talking about, but it's like
the calm before the storm.
Yes, exactly. That I don't really seem to want to play. I only want to play that one game that's coming out. Like I'm anticipating a large game that's coming out.
Does it involve stars?
It does. It's obviously Starfield, and I'm getting very excited about it. Now, you guys kind of talked me down about my pre-order for Steam. I canceled it. I'm just going to play it on Game Pass and see how it is first before,
Scott, don't do that.
No, I did that. I did that. No, that's a good thing to do. You shouldn't pre-order games, based on, what everything says. So I'm hoping that it's good. The more I hear about it, the more excited I get for it, and the less I want to play what is on my computer. So, I played a couple of things here and there, but mostly, just the regular stuff. I'm still playing
the regular rotation.
Yeah, I did play some some Baldur's Gate 3. I'm getting through that, and that's something that's probably going to hit the back burner a little bit. Starfield hits?
Have you kicked anyone off a bridge yet? I did see that clip. That clip was funny.
No, I don't think
There's
so.
like a rich person. He's like, don't give that poor person money. It'll just like encourage him. He's just gonna buy booze with it, and then you can kick that rich person into the.
I can't wait to do that.
Yeah,
I come to there's apparently like this quest line of this person that you're supposed to meet on in the forest, and there was an option to just kill them. And I just killed him. I'm like, I got enough to
nice.
do. Just killed him. So there's probably like that's probably like the best quest in the game. I'm like, cut it right off. So I got Starfield coming out, man. I don't have time for you. So,
I do want to ask. I want to ask Scott this question. Scott, does the writing in Baldur's Gate measure up with the best in the industry? Would you say?
So far, it's really good. But I mean, I really don't know if I could answer that until I have completed it. You know, writing can go. It's kind of like a TV series. You know, the first 2 episodes could be amazing, and then the middle. You know, I mean, anybody that is a fan of a long running series, there's seasons that are way off. You know, so until you get to the end of that, I don't know if that's really something that you can do. But I will say that what I've encountered so far, as far as character development and the story and the decisions you're making and the people that you run into, is better than any Ubisoft game I have ever played. And that's we're talking hours and hours and hours. Baldur's Gate 3, I think I'm hitting like 20 hours. I haven't had a lot of time with it. Better than anything Ubisoft has written.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty good.
And 6 million times better than anything I've seen in Horizon. Sorry, that's just bad.
That's good. That's good. So that was your week. A week of waiting.
A week of anticipation. Yep.
Thick, what about you? How was your week?
It's not too bad. I think it's kind of the same for me a little bit, where I didn't have too much in rotation. I played a little bit more Exo Primal, I think, because I gave my cousin the Game Pass trial on PC, and it's about to expire soon, so we try to get a little bit more in. I mean, that hasn't changed too much, anything like new with that.
How is your cousin liking it? How's your cousin liking it?
We like it. Like he's pretty
like
casual on it. He's kind of the guy to where when he buys a game, he wants to finish it like at least 80% before he moves on.
Good for him.
He's not gonna. Yeah. But like we talk about games a lot, and we always buy too many. So like he still has a major backlog, but he still wants to finish what he has. He's like on PS3 generation still. So.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I mean, just you know, kind of enjoying that with my cousin. I was trying to maybe get more games in, like maybe like Sea of Thieves, maybe Gunfire Reborn, but you know, probably won't get to it. You know, I play a lot of Overwatch 2. My cousin and I like to play that game as well as a couple other people that I have played regularly. Nothing new there. Yeah. The 2 new things I would say is I was playing the Skull and Bones closed beta, and this time
much
you can
improved. Much improved, I heard.
Yeah. I think they did a good job adding like this like kind of like opener, and it's kind of like they give you like a fully kitted ship. They kind of give you an idea how the combat is, and it's kind of like a major naval battle. Like it gives you a good idea what you can become, because once you get done with that, you just get this tiny ass ship, and then you're harpooning fish. But I mean that section didn't last too long. Like I didn't meander too long in that section. It gave me very basic tutorial stuff, and then I got off of that area, and then it starts to do the Ubisoft kind of cycle a little bit, which I mean I'm okay with. It's just something I probably will drop after like a couple hours. Like I only played like maybe a couple hours yesterday. The ship battle I would say is probably the most interesting thing about it. They did a decent job with it. It's basically the way that you could do it is like each side has a different cannon that you can put. You could put the same one if you want. There's something in the front. So like you kind of aim down sights, and then whatever direction you're using that cannon or weapon that's on that side. So you need to care about the positioning of your ship, which is good. So I mean, it's just kind of like Sea of Thieves almost.
Yeah.
But I thought the way they did it felt overall good. There's definitely like a progression to it, but I mean, I think that was the best thing about it. Definitely what I see is if you don't like Ubisoft games, you probably would not be interested in the game.
It's very Ubisoft.
Yes.
I do have a question about Skull and Bones though. Are you ready?
Yeah.
when you start engaging with an enemy, like your two ships are headed towards each other, obviously you don't sink each other after the first pass. How many like figure eights are you doing with each other?
Well, PvP is optional. So I didn't really PvP because I think everyone else had better ships than me. But I did see a lot of people like kind of roaming around. I mostly attacked like these posts or just like merchant ships in the middle of nowhere. There's trade routes, and you could just kind of pay attention to the trade routes and then like attack ships there, and you can get specific items there from what I could see. And then there's like you could take kind of like ransack the village. You don't get off your ship. There's like this animation of your crew getting off. You're in your ship defending the area until they're done. So it's like almost like a horde mode kind of thing. Like sometimes there's a tower that you have to pay attention to that will also attack. I had a lot of difficulties with that, and that could be just because I was not well equipped.
Okay.
But for like a single ship, it probably took me like 2-3 times to go around it.
Okay. All right.
I thought the ship controlled well enough for what perspective. You could change your perspective. You could do first person, or like basically on the ship, kind of. Like you'll see like you're on the deck, or you could just do kind of like a third person view. So I think I like that it's flexible that way.
Okay, I like that. Definitely a potential Game of the Year candidate for whatever year it comes out in, right?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, Game of the Year 2027.
Yeah. Jeff Keighley definitely keeping his tabs on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's better than expected, at least from what they've showed, right?
But still not.
Still not quite there. But I mean, at least it's not like a total wash, I feel. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I'm going to ask Scott a question. Scott, World of Warships is a huge game. World of Warships.
Yep.
Does that ever intrigue you? Because I feel like this is kind of like a cartoony version of, World of Warships, right?
Not
naval
really.
battles don't really entice you?
If naval battles are incorporated into a game, like Sea of Thieves is a good example. Okay, you're not. It's not a naval battle game, but you have the ability to battle, on the open seas. Much like, where this game comes from, Assassin's Creed Black Flag. That implemented it into the game very well. That I do like. I like that as, a feature or a mechanic in a game. But an entire game of that, I think I would get bored with it pretty quick.
Okay.
I think the initial premise was already a tough sell. So
yeah.
You know what?
Actually, missed its window by what? 8 years. Yeah.
10 years, I think, at this point.
Is it? Oh God. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Didn't we hear when Black Flag came out, people were like, "Oh, they should make a ship version of this game."
Yeah, that's what everybody
Ubisoft's
was like. Yeah.
Ubisoft, we did what you told us to do, and now everyone's like, "We don't want that, Ubisoft." Yeah. Wow, disappointing.
The lesson is don't listen to your fans.
Yeah, fickle fans. Yeah.
I did play one more game, and that's Trials of Mana, and I guess I can't really say too much about it. It's Trials of Mana is like the hack and slash remake of an old RPG, so it has very. Yeah, I think so. Actually, I think Trials might be PS1. I could be wrong, but it. I mean, it plays fine. You could rotate between 3 characters. I'm pretty sure I talked about it before, and they all have special abilities. The combat is fine, but like the world's very like each level, there's a lot of loading screens, and that's just kind of how it's designed.
Okay. All right. So not the hottest games you're playing.
No.
Okay, what about you, Nate? I really want to hear about what you have been playing.
You want to know what I played this week?
Yes.
All right, I played 2 games this week. One game incredibly frustrating, and another game near perfection. Which one do you guys want me to start with? The near perfect game or the frustrating game?
How about the
frustrating?
Yeah, frustrating.
Yeah.
All right, Armored Core 6: The Fires of Rubicon. All right. Can I tell you what this game is? This game is?
Please do.
You ice skate like Brian Boitano in circles. You ice skate. Who's another ice skater? Oksana Bayul. She's the greatest ice skater. And all you're doing is you're like aiming and you're like waiting for a meter to fill up, and then you release your rockets. And then you also have your thumb close to the square button, because then you can quick boost out of the way of incoming rockets. So you're doing figure 8s with square and you're hitting your trigger buttons. Awful.
That's the
Awful.
combat. See, I was afraid it was basically that.
Yeah. And so, oh, go ahead, Scott.
Well, I was
Ask
just
a
going to
question.
say, is that how long did you play it?
I probably played it a good 5-ish hours so far. So I'm at the end of Act 1. I think there's 4 acts.
Okay, so
Did you customize your Mac a lot? Like when you tried different, like
build outs and stuff.
yeah.
Oh yeah. So you do. So I broke down the game, like how much time you're spending in each section of the game. 70% of the time you're getting destroyed by these bosses. Literally 70% of this game is just you're getting crushed. You're just getting crushed, right? 25% of the time you're in the mech customization menu, like figuring out like, okay, how is he crushing me? What should I build to counteract that? And then 5% of the time you're in these story missions where you're just like, they put all this fodder in front of you and you just go from point A to point B and you're just shooting super weak mechs. Now, granted, that I'm only in Act 1, so that probably gets a little harder in the future, but it's super disappointing how it's just so, like, they don't give you any interesting choices. Like, it's what I think you'd call wide linear. Like, you can obviously strafe to the right, go on buildings over here, strafe to the left, go underneath whatever here, but it's generally you're just going in the one direction.
Sounds like what's that game? Lock On, the old arcade game where you're basically just that's it. Yeah.
I think it is.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah,
So the levels might be somewhat like linear in choice, but what about the build choice? I'm more interested in hearing that.
So here is what I'm disappointed, because obviously there's a lot of they say there's a lot of variation with your mechs, but essentially whenever you run into a boss or a difficult area, you because it's so difficult, you have to build your mech against that boss. Like, you can't build your mech like to your personal preference.
Okay,
right?
so
Like,
you have to have countered what their abilities are.
You have to counter what that boss asks you to counter. And to me, I'm like, oh, it's essentially a puzzle game. Like, I have to figure out what the game wants from me, not like, I want to be a sniper. I want to like be a mech that's back here and playing my own play style, right?
Yeah.
So that's incredibly frustrating to me. The only thing I like about it, and I always say that, I consider myself kind of an educated like gamer. Like, I'm a little bit older. I've been doing this for a long time. The game industry tricked me, right? It got good reviews, got an 88 on Metacritic. I liked all the trailers and stuff. The only good thing that this game does, in my opinion, when you have like a giant robot that has like 8 missiles on his back and you hit the L1 button, all the missiles go off like kind of cool looking. That's what made me give them $60, just like the cool little stupid stuff, right?
Yeah,
so,
it looks cool. I mean, it looks
cool.
That's why when you said you were getting, I was like, I'm gonna wait till Nate gets it, because it does look fun. But what you're saying is it's not fun. Yeah,
and you know me, like, there's a lot of like character action games, right? Like Ninja Gaiden, Devil May Cry, where it's just like you run up to. I think I was telling you a few weeks ago. You run up to AI and you like do your little circle strafes and you figure out their patterns. I freaking hate that game design, that style.
Yeah.
Like, I like Metal Gear Solid 5, where you kind of have to figure out how you're going to tackle a situation. This is just like, I don't know. I'm not now. I played 5 hours of it, and while I'm playing it, I'm kind of enjoying it a little bit. Like, I'm like, I'll play hour 5. But then when I remove myself from it, I'm like, oh, what the heck did I just do to myself, right? So,
well, Nate, it doesn't get good till that hour 20.
Yeah, right.
You got to get to hour 20. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very frustrating hearing the gaming industry, just another one of these types of games is like, oh, it's a great game.
Well, it's from software. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I
you
think that
like
gets,
it, right?
I think that gets not
it
a
does.
pass, but it
There's
adds a
something
little
weird
bit to
that.
it. Yeah. Yeah. Just like Elden Ring. I love Elden Ring. I think it's beautiful. I love the art style. I love the graphics. I love the sound. But I can't get very far in that game because it's because of its difficulty. It just makes me want to play something else. So it's just and that's what this sounds like.
Very similar.
Yeah.
And in fact, so there's 2 tough bosses that I've played already, and the more you play them, like you're playing them, like I said, 70% of the time it's like a boss game. I'm starting to figure out, like, when you're in your mech and you're far away from that boss, the game punishes you. So the game really encourages you to be like real close to that mech, that enemy mech. And I'm like, well, I'm just playing like Elden Ring because I'm just like circle strafing an AI, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but do you want me to tell you the near perfect game I played?
Yeah.
Is it Enter the Gungeon?
Guys, no, it's even
Fortnite?
better than that. It's the GOAT. Season 4, Chapter 4 of Fortnite released this week. Let me explain to you something. Now, we've been doing this podcast over a year. How often have I raved about a season? Right? A season comes out every 3 months.
Maybe twice.
Maybe twice.
Yeah.
All right, but not a ton. I'm
Not a
telling you,
ton,
this is like a top 3 season in my quick estimation. Let me tell you why. All right. A huge problem with base Fortnite is there's a huge skill gap issue in the lobbies. Right. I can play against players that feel like I'm playing LeBron James in basketball 1-on-1. Like they can edit, they can build so much quicker than me, they can aim quicker than me. It's like they're on keyboard and mouse. I'm just on my stupid little controller with back buttons. Right. What they did is they did 2 things. They added a turret to the game, right? So you can now build like defensive structures. You can kind of hide your turret behind it. And then these sweats that just go aggro on everyone they see, when they jump on you, this turret is helping you. It's like, you idiot, right? So that kind of feels good. That feels good, right? Now, most of the time I'm still dying to these sweats, but it feels like I got a shot.
Yeah.
Right? The second great thing they did with this game is, you know how the story of Fortnite is like, when I shoot someone, they just build the Eiffel Tower and they like get on top of me and they're, it's super sweaty. They've added this device in the game where it's called the rocket ram, where you press trigger, you watch a 2-second animation, and then you bust through like 10 stories of builds.
Oh, okay.
So essentially what's happening here is all the sweats that like high ground, they're constantly under threat of like low skill players that stay on the low ground because I'm in my little box. I know they're above me somewhere. I rocket through them, and then I have a chance to rain down and knock them off their builds. Right.
Right.
So Fortnite is very casual friendly right now. Very low skill player friendly, I'll say.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah. Hey, we should play it sometime, guys. We should.
Yeah.
But,
Let me download it.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think that's gonna do it for our small talk. Let's get to our listener feedback. This is where listeners of the Supply Drop participate in the discussion by going to the Supply Drop podcast YouTube channel and dropping a question, comment, or insult. Thick, what do you have for us this week?
What do I have?
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Vic, this week's listener feedback section was brought to you by Coca-Cola. I was supposed to have a Coke right here because I got a bunch of Cokes in the fridge.
Yeah.
Coke's
so we're not getting paid. We're not getting paid.
We're not getting paid this week. No. Yeah. So better luck next week's Supply Drop podcast.
Yeah.
All right. Now the meaty part of our podcast, the drop. Scott, what was the most intriguing part of the week for you as far as the news?
First, I do have a dumb game website article of the week. And this one it comes from Rock Paper Shotgun, which hasn't been on the show yet. But their title is Starfield's new live action trailer probably incites more emotion than the entire game will.
Wow. Did you watch this? Did you watch this trailer?
Yeah.
How was it?
I mean, it's very well done. I mean, it's
I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's I like live action trailers. It's not like the Believe Halo 3, deal, but it's quick. It's short. It gets you excited. It's just to
promote the game, right?
Yeah. So I didn't click on the article, but I did watch a video of someone that did read the article because I didn't want to give it the clicks, and it's just terrible. It's just I don't know when Games Media just started trashing on a game before it was even released.
That's a thing with Starfield right now, right? You've seen the other one, right? The one about the start screen. I'm like,
right.
Okay.
Well, now there's a big thing about apparently somebody walked on one of the planets for like 45 minutes.
I watched it. I just watched that video.
And then ran into a wall, like a loading screen or something. And I'm like, I'm not walking around on a planet for 45 minutes.
Right.
I mean, if it's just a randomly generated planet with nothing on it, moving on. But that might have just been, early in the game or a planet that's made for a tutorial. I don't know. I don't really care. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be
I don't care if there's a boundary. There are still limits within the game. So, like, if there is, It's whatever. I mean, it's
Yeah, I mean that's part of the engine. When you're in an exterior and you go to interior, like when you go to your ship, it loads the interior of your ship, because it's going to be different every time you go in there. And somebody somebody just trashed the whole game for that. Well, and then somebody said, well, when I'm watching that leaked version of it, yeah, it does load, but it loads for like a half a second. It's like it's barely even a load screen. So yeah, everybody's just making a big deal of this. I did find out though that the guy on YouTube that leaked the 40 minutes of the cell phone of him playing the game, he got arrested. He got arrested because he stole from the warehouse that he works at. He stole a bunch of copies of the limited edition, the one that Thick got, and was selling them on Mercury. Yeah. And he lives right here.
Does he really?
Yeah. Our police department.
Do you have a copy? Do you have a copy?
No.
It's confiscated. Go to your local police station. Right?
Like, hey, I'm here to pick up a copy of that. I want that watch. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. But he did say, he was quoted on Twitter as like, not my kind of game. Sorry, Todd. It seems to be a great game, but just not my bag. But I'm going to rip you off and steal a bunch of copies, put them on there. Yeah. So yeah, he also had a big bag of weed on him too. So that's where I live. Anyway, so moving on. So I did have an article, and I feel like I'm finding these articles that are just kind of sad, but there might be something else to this. So instead of hearing about this on Kotaku or Rock, Paper, Shotgun, Bioware put this on their website. It was an update to the state of Bioware, and they basically said because of a transition, they had to eliminate 50 roles at Bioware. Now, the verbiage in this, what is this? I'm going to read this to you, and you guys tell me what you think it means. As part of this transition, we are eliminating approximately 50 roles at Bioware. And they go on to say how sorry they are. But when you eliminate 50 roles, that sounds like they're eliminating the positions, not...
Yeah.
I mean, the people, obviously, that are in those positions. But you see what I'm saying? Like, if those 50 roles were part of the Dragon Age live service game, right, that they've changed to now just a single-player game, or I don't know. But I'll read you this one. This is actually from Gary McKay, which is general manager. It basically, to sum it up, they're just kind of apologizing for having to do that, but it was a necessity. It says, in order to meet the needs of our upcoming projects, continuing to hold ourselves to the highest standard of quality, and ensure Bioware can continue to thrive in an industry that's rapidly evolving, we must shift towards a more agile and more focused studio. It will allow our developers to iterate quickly, unlock more creativity, and form a clear vision of what we're building before development ramps up. So that seems to be where you would hire people and not let them go. I don't know. What do you guys think is going on at BioWare?
It could definitely just be a reshuffling, if anything. I mean, there's no way we can really tell, like if these roles were just kind of like not really useful, So it's hard to say. Yeah, unlike the positions at 343 Industries, they actually told us what those roles were, or those were available for you to find out. These are just 50 roles. So this may be, again, nothing, but we haven't really seen anything from Dragon Age, Direwolf. We've seen Mass Effect trailer. Right? Yeah, Mass Effect is we've got a teaser trailer, really just teaser trailer for both. But I think these games. I think that Dreadwolf, not Direwolf. Dreadwolf is probably, it's been delayed internally. It was slated to come out this spring, and now is falling into possibly later next year. Yeah. So BioWare really needs a win. I mean, they really do.
What were their last two games? Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem?
And Anthem. Yeah.
Technically, it was the Legendary Collection. That was just kind of like a really easy project, I would assume.
Yeah, they did that, and they did a great
Right.
job on that, and that was excellent. And they needed that, and that was when you ask for something like that, that is what like studios when we ask for something to be redone and possibly fixed. That is what we're talking about. The Mass Effect redo, but yeah, this is we'll have to kind of wait for I guess somebody to break more into what's going on at BioWare, but I'm just hoping that their next game is going to be good, because knowing EA's history, if it's not that could be the end of BioWare. They could be broken up in a support studio and everything else. So
you guys don't know how big BioWare is, do you? Like, I was reading on Reddit. Someone on Reddit was like, "Oh, it's about a 200-person studio," and I don't know if they're right or not. But.
Were they talking about Anthem? I think people were.
Yeah,
maybe.
Anthem. Yeah, I believe there's two. I believe they closed one of their studios. The studio that did Andromeda was
Edmonton
BioWare. No, the other one. It wasn't Edmonton. Edmonton is doing Dragon
Austin?
Age. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe that's what it is. And now they were kind of just shut down and merged into Edmonton after Andromeda came out as their punishment, I guess. So I don't know. It's just it's another problem with AAA gaming right now. It's super expensive and super risky to make a AAA title. And,
I have a question for you. Do you ever think about like how can these companies extract more out of like single player gamers? Cause like do you feel like you have a solution? Like I always think it's real interesting if you're like, hey, give us $20 extra, we're gonna give you a skin and we're gonna let you play the game a week early. So our $70 game is $90.
That seems to be the only thing that they've come up with so far is that get the limited edition you play early, which I hate. I hate that because it's not fair.
I think
understand
what people do is there's a lot of games that are like if you make the single player game good enough, they'll just keep the price high. Like it'll never drop below 30. That sort of thing. Yeah. That's how people mitigate
Nintendo. That's how Nintendo
does it. Nintendo does it.
I think Sony will do that to an extent. Like we won't see anything below 20 for a while.
But I don't think that's like going to solve any part of the.
No, not entirely. That is a part of their solution, if anything.
Yeah. I think if they I think it depends on the game. I'd look at because I'm working on a video about a Halo, because I'm a YouTuber, I have to make a video about Halo. But like Halo Infinite's campaign, I personally think is really good. I think it's fun. It's really fun to play co-op. It's open world. I think that there are things that you can do to that. You can add not like an entire DLC where like it adds 10 hours of gameplay, but you can add stuff to that open world for a small price. Give
me an example.
New weapons, new vehicles, new enemies.
So you're saying, hey, I love what you're saying right now, but people on the internet would cut off your head saying add microtransactions to Halo single player.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they would. I think there's a market for it. But when you say microtransaction, though, you have to say it has to be a microtransaction. $15 single player pack. This adds look at all the stuff we did for multiplayer. We're going to add this to the single player campaign, which does take more work because you've got AI, you've got physics, you've got all this other stuff that you've got to implement in it. That's why they don't just throw it into the campaign. Right. But on playing on PC years and years ago, you would get that. You'd get a map pack for $15, or you would get a weapons pack, or new enemies that came along with it. If you charge $30 for something like that, they would just be atrocious and it would be stupid. Yeah. But Destiny does it all the time. That's
multiplayer though.
It's PvE. It is, right.
Yeah, I know. I just think sell a microtransaction to people who are like, oh, I'm playing with my friends is different than selling a microtransaction to player. I'm playing by myself.
Right, only because it's it's FOMO. It's like all your friends want to play this dungeon. Oh, well, I want to go. Well, then you go. It says, it goes, get Dungeon Pass, click here, go to the store, buy it.
Right.
What are you going to do? Are you going to, they just took your football and went outside to play, and you're inside. What do? You're going to buy it. So, but that's also a free to play game. So it's
right.
It's got to be something that you can implement into it that just doesn't feel like it's not respecting, what it is. If it's stuff that comes out right when the game hits, I mean, that's obviously, they could have put that in the game, but they pulled it out and charged it. But a year down the road, they could add stuff to single player games.
Well,
a good example
I feel like one thing, Halo Infinite is probably not the best example, just because
probably not, no,
of how it's made, right? Because it's like a $60 single player, and then people feel like they're already ripped off in
from
some
the
ways.
multiplayer.
Like it should be cheaper or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But like that's
just
for Halo Infinite specifically. I know it's
top of my head, yeah. But maybe like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, there's a good example, because you buy that game, you play the entire game, there's no ending. You don't get the ending. It's not there. I played that entire game. I got to the end and I'm like, hello? Yeah, it came out a year later. You had to buy it.
Yeah.
And DLC.
I have an idea.
What?
What about this? Hey, Starfield's coming out. Starfield's $100. The base edition is $100.
Okay.
Would you guys flip? Would you guys flip crap over that?
Yeah.
You would. See, this is what I feel like is the problem with you single player people who are open to single player.
Well, it's not out yet. Is it good? Is it game of the year? Is it the best game that people are like, this is the best game I've ever played? Then I may be more like, okay, well, all right, okay, $100 for 2,000 hours worth of gaming. Okay, maybe that sounds good to me. But like right now, no.
I think it's interesting because I'll go on message boards that are very clearly single player centric, and they are always like, games as a service so bad because of microtransactions, and I'm like, you people, you have to realize that the market share is shifting towards multiplayer because of microtransactions. Right. So you can't complain like, oh, our market share is dwindling, and then being like, we don't want to give any extra money anywhere ever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just like insane conversation there.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't, sometimes those microtransactions will fund a single player game, though. Right. You've got multiplayer like EA. All of that money goes to EA. So if you've got a game that's just generating a massive amount of money through their skins or whatever, say like Call of Duty or Destiny, or that money funds that studio and possibly something else. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know if there's like a clear cut. I don't know if there's anything that you could do to a single player game that would make the majority of people happy. Oblivion's a good example. Horse armor. Oh, here's horse armor. That's where it started. Yeah, that's where it started. It's $5 for this horse armor, which I did not buy.
I did not buy it.
Yeah, I did not buy.
No, I did not buy it. I bought their expansions like Shivering Isles, and man, all of those were good. Yeah. Whatever the 9, I can't remember what it's called, but absolutely. Again, that's a single player game. Dump a bunch of hours into it. Give me DLC that will extend that game. Put it in that game, with more stuff, a story.
It is interesting that.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you remember, like, was it 15, 20 years ago? Remember Half-Life 2? Half-Life 2 was coming out, and then like they're like, we're gonna do episodes. We're gonna do this kind of chunky nature. That fizzled. That whole business model fizzled because gamers weren't supporting it, right?
Yeah.
Gamers want that, like, we'll wait 6 years for your game. It better be huge. It will be there on day one. They don't want these like, okay, a year later we'll come back for another 10 hours. They don't want that really, right?
Yeah, because it's not. It seems like a tease. It seems like you're not getting a whole game. If they were quicker, and I'll use Destiny 2 as an example too, because I mean it's probably the market leader as far as like what we're going to see in other games later. But they do seasons, and the seasons extend whatever story that you're into. It expands that, and you have these seasons up to the next giant DLC. So you've got these things that lead to a larger one. But if you don't have that larger DLC looming, in the background and in that next year, those seasons seem to be a little dry, a little, like
Right.
maybe not enough.
Same with like Diablo 4 for some
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, and that's not a single player game per se, but it would be hard to implement that and make everyone happy. I only used, like I said, Halo Infinite as an example because I've just been playing a lot lately for a video, and I see so much potential in that game, like the open world and everything. They could just add just anything, just add stuff, just hide stuff, like just have a patch where it's just like, hey, while you're playing this, if you find all of these things, you get a weapon skin for free. I mean, how much is that?
Didn't they kind of do that?
No, they did. What they did was they didn't even hide them. I mean,
Skin colors.
yeah, but they're on the map. You just go get them on the map. They're not like hidden. They just kind of just threw them all over the place, and then you just go get them. And none of them were like you got red or you got blue. It wasn't anything worth. But and have all of that stuff you can use for in the campaign or in multiplayer.
Right.
Unfortunately, armchair developer here.
Well, unfortunately, single player, it seems to just be going towards big IP, big budget. It's like the top 10 titles of the year are going to make a ton of money, and then everything below that is like kind of shriveling up a little bit.
Yeah, I worry about Sony in that aspect too, because their studios are, it's taking much longer to make these things and much more money, whereas Microsoft doesn't care because they want the subscriptions. They don't care about, the retail sales anymore. So Starfield is going to generate console sales, controller sales, and a bunch of Game Pass, you know. Yeah. And that's in a single player game.
So none of us solved the single player crisis in this podcast. We did not solve it.
Ideas, but yeah.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So are we moving on to Thick right now? Thick, what was your drop?
Do we have to? Okay.
We have to. We have to.
We have to. Okay. So I got two stories. I'll have the smaller story first, which is that, I mean, it could be big depending on how you look at it, but like, basically, Nintendo has added to their development kit Denuvo Anti-Piracy software, which what the reason they're adding it is so they can give developers the opportunity to, give them the chance to, give them the opportunity to add it to their software if they want to. I mean, I think it's optional, right? It's just one of the middleware packages. What Denuvo kind of does is it's just been an anti-piracy software on PC for a long time. Nintendo is trying to mitigate, emulation of their software. From what I hear is, multi-platform games that release on everything. Everything else has some sort of anti-piracy, but when it releases on Switch, they pirate that version on PC like immediately. Like, I mean, you could play Tears of the Kingdom like near immediately when
the day it launched. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have any opinions on this software particularly, or just anti-piracy in general.
I do. It is on the PC side. It's been known to drop frame rates and cause performance issues.
That's what a lot of people say. I don't know. Have you experienced it yourself? I can't say I have.
Well, how would I know? That's the thing. Yeah. I mean, if it's there all the time, how do you know if it's if it's a driver issue or your computer or just the poor optimization of the game?
Yeah. Some people mention it gets removed later a lot of times. Yeah. Like they have it during the launch window.
Right. And really? I've seen some videos of people showing the before and after performance of those games, and there is a difference. I mean, there is a drop in frame rate, but we're not talking about like, taking a huge performance hit. We're talking about like maybe like, okay, so it's hitting like 82 frames per second, then without it, it's hitting like 98. I mean, which sounds like a lot, but over 80, you're still doing fine. But then again, that depends on the title. I think this one was Resident Evil 8, The Village. I think that got dropped, and somebody did a video on that, but it was noticeable. So it concerns me because on the Switch is extremely underpowered right now anyway. So how is that going to affect, frame rate for the titles that have that on there as opposed to the ones that don't? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to just see when it kind of releases, see what happens,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of really late for it, but
yeah, it really is, unless it's ramping up for the next Switch, where it'll be
suppose.
implemented, the games that are coming out on Switch 2 or Switchblade or Switchback.
Nintendo's always been obsessed with that piracy, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They have.
Yeah.
They've released several firmware for the system itself. Like, if you go online and just look for an unpatched Switch, it's pretty expensive because people
Oh, really?
can hack those unpatched Switches.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'm always I'm a McAfee guy. McAfee antivirus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's somewhere on an island. That guy's
Yeah.
somewhere on an island.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next story is really, it was kind of like came in near the end of the week. Is that basically Baldur's Gate 3 is coming to Xbox. It's basically been
big,
announced. Yeah, it's basically been announced that the Series S won't have split screen, at least at launch. I think, there was like a follow-up tweet saying that they're still working on a solution. But like the whole, to me, it's never been strictly about split screen. It's what it symbolizes for the Series S, right? What were you guys' takes on it? Like, is the Series S holding back gaming? That's a common thing people are saying.
Well, this week didn't that Lord of the Rings Mines of Moria game, didn't they just announce that they're not going to Xbox right away? And I think people are jumping to the conclusion that it's a Series S issue.
I always feel that Series S is the low-hanging fruit that people will just keep picking on.
Yeah.
I don't see anything in that Moria game that looks like that demanding, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, could it be that developers are using that as an excuse as well?
Yeah, but we don't seem to be seeing it in the other direction though, right? It's not like
no,
there seems to be some difficulty there.
A lot of the studios were around last year when I guess that one that one artist that works at a developing studio stated something about the Series S. A lot of developers were like, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, it's just optimization. We have a PC version and we have to, we set a goal for like the lowest common denominator on PC and then scale up from there. Just do the same thing on Xbox. You have the lowest common denominator hardware. You take it, and then scale up from there. The problem may be that with Larian, I'm not sure what engine that they're using for that. I know it's not Unreal 5. I think it is their own engine. So that in itself kind of comes up with some issues. But having performance issues for the Series S, this is really the first time that they've split the versions of the X and S.
Yeah.
Because, Xbox demands parity, if you want to release it with that. I don't think it's holding back gaming, but I honestly think that it could be holding back developers putting their game on Xbox because of having that lowest common denominator. We know that some developers are much better at optimization on games than others. So, if you look at, say, Jedi Survivor, it's an Unreal 5 game, which is very under-optimized for just about everything. And that could be fault of Unreal 5. But the same thing with the last version of Unreal 4, there were some games that run crappy on Unreal 4 on the consoles and PC. But if you've got a studio like the Coalition and look at Gears 5, that game looks absolutely phenomenal. It runs 60 FPS on just about everything. And it's one of the best-looking games on the Xbox Series X and PC.
And it ran, did it run 60 on Xbox One S?
It ran 60 on the Xbox One X. And then
not the S.
Not the S. The S, the multiplayer did, but
Okay.
I believe the single player was 30. But everything above that was 60 frames per second, and of course on PC it just looks amazing. I mean, so you've got different studios that have capability of optimizing their games, and some that may not be that great at it. And I'm not saying Larian isn't. I'm just saying that may be where the issue lies, not necessarily the hardware.
Yeah, it could be based on like just priority too.
Yeah.
But that also says, a couple of things like prioritizing the Series S less. It could also be that Xbox needs to work on their development kit a little bit better, make it easier for developers to kind of, flip that switch for Series S.
Yeah. And that's how they're making this happen. They said that they're sending people to Larian to help them get this, optimized on the Series S. But yeah, I mean, as far as it holding back gaming, I don't see how. I think all consoles are holding back gaming. I mean, look at the Switch. I mean, it came out in 2017. It's basically a cell phone. Nobody ever complains about the frame rate on a Switch. Why? Because it came out in 2017 and it's a cell phone, right?
Mm-hmm. It does also have games that release without certain features. So I guess one of the arguments because of this news is should the game be cheaper?
Yeah, that isn't it. Yeah, because you're losing a feature of it. But not if they patch it later. Which Redfall still is not 60 frames per second, even though it says it on the box. It's going to be 60 frames per second.
It does say it on the box?
It does. It says if you go buy a box, well, it's a sticker. It says 60 frames per second. No, it's 30, it'll be 60 later. Yeah. I doubt it. But yeah, I mean, this may be... I'm confident that Larian can probably get this working and get it done. But at some point, if it's losing features, or maybe they should have a cheaper version. Do you remember when the 360 came out and there was version? That's when we went to $60, right? So $60 games, you had like Ghost Recon. Ghost Recon was $60. Okay, but on the regular Xbox, it was a different game made by a different developer, and it was $50 because it didn't have those new features that the new consoles had. So, and nobody really complained about that because it's like you're getting a $50 Ghost Recon game. If you want this game, then go buy the console. I mean, that was kind of
Larian should sell it. They should sell it for cheaper, and then if they add a
$10 patch.
Then you send out. You got to hire a workforce to go home to home, knock on doors, be like, "Do you have the Xbox Series S, Baldur's Gate 3? Give us your $10." That's what they should do.
That's what they should do. Yeah.
Yeah. Good story. Yeah. Now let me ask you guys this. And this is stupid. I probably shouldn't even say it, but I remember when the consoles were launching. I know nothing about tech, but when I was researching the PS5 and the Series X, quote unquote researching by just reading stupid opinions online, everyone says, like, PC guys say, like, GPU scales really well. CPU doesn't scale well, right? If you have a CPU intensive game. So I think the Series S, what I assume is
the same CPU, same CPU.
It is.
But I guess the memory, there's like a memory issue with the Series S that doesn't.
So from what I understand, the memory on the Series S is shared between the GPU and also just general RAM. I think that actually happened with the 360, if I recall. I could be wrong.
They did the same configuration.
But so that must be the issue, right?
I think that's what a lot of people want to assume is the issue.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if anything, it is the issue, right?
Yeah.
There's probably ways around it. The thing is, like, split screen is definitely resource intensive in that way.
Especially a game like that,
Yeah.
CPU
but I can't see other things being that intensive where they can't just turn down certain things, right? Like split screen, like if it's omitted in the future, I think that's fine. Like such a low percentage of people use it.
Split screen is not. I mean, that is. I know that developers want it in their game, but let's move forward in gaming.
Yeah, if let's see, this starts to become an issue with a lot of games missing Xbox, or like other features are being a troubled issue on Series S, then I think it's up for further discussion. But
Yeah.
you know, we'll just have to see what happens. I think it's still smart that Microsoft started off strict with their parity, whatever, and
Right.
then like they're loosening it. Because like once you loosen the policy, like if this was the policy in the very beginning where
Yeah.
oh you can omit the feature, that is already a bad sign for the Series S. Like
Yeah.
I think the fact that they said, hey, whatever games are releasing on Series X is released on Series S, gives confidence to consumers. Right?
It does, but at some point, are you going to have to split those SKUs?
Who knows?
I mean, and I think part of it, especially with like Unreal Engine 5, it's a very CPU intensive engine. And that's why it's not performing that great on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X like people expected it to. Because it's basically using 2018 hardware,
Scott, there is one issue that I think we're not thinking about.
What's that?
Obviously, all these consoles are going to be backwards compatible, right?
Well, going forward, yeah.
Going forward.
Yeah.
So, is the Series S a big issue in 5 years when the new consoles come out?
No.
You don't?
Probably not.
Because?
No, I mean, right, they're probably not going to do this again. Right? The next version of Xbox, I mean, it was successful only because they could get it in the stores. They could make 2 Xbox Series S's or 1 Xbox Series X.
Right.
So they chose to do, during COVID, they everything was booming.
Yeah.
So they chose to make more of those, and it worked for them. They'd sold a ton of them.
Right.
At one point it outsold the PS5 because it was in the store. So their next go around, I don't think they have the luxury of doing that again. I think they're going to have one SKU, one model like they had before.
What I mean by it though is, there's going to be a ton of cross-gen games once the new consoles hit in 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're going to get developers being like, we're making a PS6 game that has to run on this Series S. You're going to get them like gritting their teeth, like what the heck,
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they navigate that, right?
Yeah. I thought the Series S was always kind of like let's see what happens. Let's see how it develops kind of thing for me. So
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Is it true that the Series S outsold the Series X?
It's a good port. I would say it
Probably.
outsells.
I thought I
might be.
read that online, but maybe I don't know.
I think they're like neck and neck in a way.
Neck and
at
neck,
least.
yeah.
I know at one point they did because there was no Series X's in
Yeah,
production. But
Yeah.
So there was a recent interview, I believe. I forget the exact source from either Phil or someone else, but basically they're glad that there's the Series S available because the console prices aren't really going to be dropping that much anymore, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it's
And then they gave a bunch of reasons, and I did this with my eyebrows when I read that. I was like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the
no
reason
price drop.
I felt like the reason you're not dropping the price is because there's like an agreement there. Like, hey, let's not drop the price for these consumers.
Between the big guys,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim and Phil.
It's like a game of chicken, and no one's starting their cars. They're just like, let's just stay here. Stay in park.
They're both selling well, so it's not.
Yeah.
Why would they lower the price? That's really the only reason that they would lower the price is that it wasn't selling well. And,
right.
They're basically flying out of stores.
And then every holiday season, it seems like these companies do a $50 off a bundle. They do.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Do you mind if I jump into my story this week?
Oh, go ahead.
Please do.
The doors have officially blown off the PlayStation Portal handheld Ridge Racer. You guys,
Yes.
Yeah, I get
right?
that.
All right.
I get that reference.
You get that reference. Okay, good. All right, let me run down a few important notes here, and then I'll get you guys your take on it. It's $200. It plays PS5 games via Wi-Fi. It can wake up your PS5. It has an 8-inch LCD display. IGN says they didn't experience any notable latency when they played it in PlayStation's offices, so ideal conditions.
Right.
You do need a PS5 to play on the Portal. You can play anywhere across the planet as long as your connection is strong enough. So I guess I didn't understand that. So I guess we'll see how that goes. You can play it in Japan.
You can do that with your Xbox 2 with the app. Or I'm pretty sure you could do that with the PlayStation app too.
Okay, interesting. I don't know about any of that stuff. I guess there's one thing that people are complaining about. Well, I guess they're complaining about a lot of things, but one thing in particular is wireless headsets and earbuds must be compatible with the device. So you can't link up. So a lot of things are not compatible.
They're using a
No
proprietary
Bluetooth.
thing.
Yeah,
right.
No Bluetooth.
I guess my question for you guys is: the internet hates this thing, right? The more I read about it, the more I don't know if it's necessarily for me, but I'm just like, this seems like somewhat smart. I don't know. I just have a complete opposite take on this thing. Let me throw it over to Thick. Thick, how many PlayStation Portals are you buying?
You know, I'm actually considering buying one just because I like playing in my bed a lot of times.
Right.
So I might just want to have like something like this and play in my bed. My concern would be, I guess, battery life, overall durability. Like if you get stick drift, it's like, oh, this sucks.
You hope they
controller.
put some or something in that handheld to make it beef up their stick drift problem, right?
So it's using the same thumbstick as the PS VR2.
VR2, yeah.
It's
so
slightly
a little skinnier, smaller.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Surprising with that. All right, so Thick, is this like a disaster device that everyone should make fun of? Apparently not.
I feel like this has been explained, or like what the product is has been explained like for a long time already. So it's like I think the ship has sailed on that discussion. They're not going to change it, you know?
No, they're not changing it. But do you feel like people are too harsh on it?
Well, I mean, just don't buy it, right?
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Yeah, Scott, where are you on it? I mean, obviously you're not a PS5 gamer, right?
Yeah, I mean you have to have a PS5
recommend you buy one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That would be kind of a waste of money. But the fact that it doesn't have Bluetooth and that you have to use their proprietary sound equipment with it, of course, is a huge turnoff to me. And just like Thick, I mean, if you can find a reasonable use for this thing, it's not a waste of money. You know, I mean, if your PS5 is in the living room and you have kids and, you know, you got to wait till, 11 o'clock at night when everybody's asleep just to play your game, or you can, kick back in a chair and be playing that while they watch, Shrek or whatever for the 40th time. Then there's a use for that. But I just don't think that it's what people wanted. It's not a portable device. You can't go out of your home and use it unless you're going to have to be using somebody's network and your network, and that is.
We're in a very connected world, though, Scott.
It is, but it's if you had a PS Vita and did try to do that, it was not pretty.
Yeah. It's really, there's a lot of places for failure in terms of
exactly right.
Yeah.
It's not like you're using their network to connect directly to a PS5 with your games licensed on it, anywhere you go. And I think that's what people expected, and that's what I would have expected, is to have something is just a iteration of the PS Vita, even if it didn't have storage and it was only cloud-based. The same Logitech had the same thing. The Logitech has a cloud-based handheld that has it's nothing internal. It's all cloud-based. So it's dependent on your network and the network that you're in. They didn't sell a lot of them. Didn't get really good reviews. And PlayStation makes the exact same thing. So I don't know. I mean, I think the price point is pretty fair for what it is. But again, I just think that it's not what people wanted, but it'll sell well. And if you can have a use for it, then I don't think it's a waste of money.
I don't actually think it'll sell well. I think this is like a PS.
There's people on Twitter saying, "Oh, I don't think it's a good idea, but I'm getting one anyway."
Yeah,
yeah,
people will get it.
Yeah.
But I think this is probably closer to like a PS TV kind of thing. Like I feel like I could see 150 like a year or two later. Maybe not a liquidation sale like the PS TV. You remember that, right?
Oh yeah, I used it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, I bought it when it was like $30, and then years later, people hacked it, and then the price of it went back up to like 150, and I ended up selling it. So that could happen with this too, because it is based on Android. I could see people hacking this.
Yeah.
I do wanna maybe push back on what Scott said when he said, people on the internet wanted like kind of a traditional handheld here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, it's so obvious why PlayStation didn't create a traditional handheld, because they're not interested in putting 25% of their development resources towards a device that can't run on that PS5, right?
Yeah, and I agree.
The reason why the Switch is going great for Nintendo is because 100% of their resources are going towards that Switch.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah,
So
I don't think it would have been a good idea for them to make a handheld of its own device.
Yeah.
I just think that everybody wanted one.
Everyone did want that, right? Yeah, I often think like that the quote unquote the mob on the internet, they would drive a plane right into a mountain. They're like, here's what they should do. You know what I mean? I guess maybe I'm just spending too much time in like crazy internet circles, but
yeah, I should get off Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
X.
Oh,
It's
X.
X.
That's
right.
Whatever.
Guys, we have 4 rumors this week.
Spill it.
The first rumor, the weakest rumor of the bunch, is kind of a funny or interesting one. It's a new patent from Sony Interactive Entertainment has dozens of players playing co-op or competitive multiplayer on one screen, perhaps in a theater setting. Guys, that's a cool idea for something. Imagine going to your AMC movie theater with your controller in hand and, killing all the people in the theater, right? Isn't that just a fun? It would be a fun idea if you're like competing against 100 players on one giant screen. Isn't that fun? No?
Like just a big split screen.
I mean,
yeah.
How do you? Where's your screen?
No. Well, I guess you could do split screen like Quake. What was it? Quake 2 did that 8-player split screen.
Yeah.
But you could also do like a Mario Party, one screen, 100 little avatars on there attacking each other, right?
Yeah, little Fall Guys, big screen.
Yeah.
I mean, sure.
All right. Wow.
I mean, we need to see how someone would actually implement this. I want to see.
Yeah, I would have to see this
proof of concept.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, if AMC and Sony did a partnership saying like this is, we're gonna try this for like a 6-month period, I think I would show up at AMC with my DualSense. I would do it just because it's weird, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind, right? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Rumor number 2. According to Twitter user BoGorad222, I've seen him on the insider circles a little bit. I don't know how reliable he is. He says Starfield has a budget of over $200 million with more than 500 developers who worked on it. I thought this was interesting because that kind of size was similar to Horizon Forbidden West and The Last of Us 2. Mm-hmm. So it seems to be
sounds about
kind of a AAA-ish budget. Nothing like, it's not like a Star Citizen, which I think Star Citizen just announced they took in $600 million. That game's still doing great.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, who really knows? People like throwing around this statistic a lot.
Yeah. I know.
They kind of use it to either bring up the game or to like put down the game. I've really noticed that. Like,
right.
Especially with like say Halo Infinite, which I mean, we know probably a good amount of those employees that worked on Halo Infinite were like contractors, stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, we went over that a couple weeks ago.
Satellite studios and stuff like that. Yeah.
There is a rumor for room number 3. It kind of goes into a lot of leaks with regards to Starfield. Do you want me to briefly go over that, or should we skip that? It's a little spoilery.
Spoilery? You okay with spoilers?
Let's.
I mean, it's not like story spoilers. It's a lot of stuff we've probably read. You want me? Let's go through it and then put your hand up if you want me to stop. According to the top posts on Gaming Leaks and Ruber's subreddit, you cannot walk all the way around planets in Starfield.
Yeah.
There are apparently very few bugs and the frame rate is nice. Combat feels great. You will be relying on fast travel a ton. You don't spend much time in your ship. He's extremely positive on the game. And apparently, I guess it's a Skyrim thing, but a lot of your companions will blow stealth missions, according to this guy. Did that happen in Skyrim?
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
All right. So Bethesda has not corrected that issue.
It's a trademark, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
I know The Last of Us 2. I think The Last of Us 1 and The Last of Us 2, I think you had an AI that just the zombies couldn't see. So it's just like, what the heck? She's right in front of that zombie.
Yeah, that's how they solved it, is that they're just invisible, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right, I guess the last rumor is, we already briefly touched upon this. According to Jeff Grubb, Dragon Age Dreadwolf was originally slated for September 2023, but was pushed back about a year to mid-2024. Do you guys remember that 4-second gameplay clip of this? It was kind of early build. Kind of looked very actiony. Kind of like, yeah. Well, I'm a little excited about this,
I liked what I saw. If that's that's what the game's gonna look like.
It looked visceral, arcadey almost.
Yeah. I don't mind the actiony Dragon Ages. So
no.
Although I think a lot of people with Baldur's Gate out probably want Origins back in some form.
Because that was more tactical.
Yeah, that was very more
tactical.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now let's get to our big talk. Scott, you're in charge of big talk this week. Introduce us.
Well, we had Gamescom 2023 in Germany, and we didn't get a lot of new stuff, but we got to see more of stuff that we knew existed. So I'm going to go over a couple of mine that I liked, saw. But one of them, actually, I don't think was technically at Gamescom. It was at the, TennoCon? Which is the Warframe convention, kind of at the same time. Yeah. And did you see? Thick actually showed this to me. There's the Soulframe gameplay.
That's right.
And I liked it. I think the combat looked great. Although I'm seeing just about every third-person action melee game that I'm seeing is now the combat is almost identical to Dark Souls, and I'm kind of worried about that. I don't think that has to be, but this does kind of look like that. But I did like the pacing of it. It was a little slower, and the game looks amazing. Yeah, it's supposed to be completely open world, but this looked a little more linear. But there was one thing about this video is that when they were showing it, it had the crowd reaction. You can hear, it was in 4K, but you could hear the crowd's reaction. And there was one instance where an enemy comes out and he whistles, and a wolf kind of materializes and just grabs the guy and throws him off screen. Everybody starts laughing, and then he gets on the wolf, and then he takes off, and you go do a boss battle or whatever. But this is supposedly kind of tied into Warframe, and it's supposed to be the beginning of Warframe, like the story of thousands of years ago, and how this came to be or whatever. But that video, when I saw the announcement trailer, it looked a little weird and was apprehensive. This looks great, and I am now excited about Soulframe. Did you guys watch this at all? I know Thick did. Did you watch it, Nate?
I watched it a little bit. Yeah.
What did you think?
Totally not my cup of tea. I can't stand this type of game. But
did you guys like Warframe or played it?
I played a lot of it when it first came out, and then I dropped off. And when I came back, it was so different. And so kind of I was lost. I mean, I'll be honest with you. It was just very a lot of stuff to kind of take in. Much like if you play Destiny 2 right now. But the combat and the graphics and I mean, they nailed it. I mean, it's great. This looks. They also released a trailer called Warframe 1999, which I think was today.
Yeah.
And it looks a little more slower paced than regular Warframe. But anyway.
So what is Warframe 1999? What is that?
I don't know. It's like there's supposedly like a character or something that is in the suit. Like when you start your character, right? This tells who that character is and kind of their story, but it's years and years before you started playing the game.
Yeah.
So is it it's a third project of theirs, or is it?
It sounds like it. Yeah. Like a smaller, like a single player game. Just,
maybe
that's what it looks like. It
seems good fun.
Yeah. It looks great, but they've got a lot going on. Warframe is. If you don't play Warframe is bigger than you think it is. So let's just leave it at that. But Soulframe looks amazing. The next game, we did get a gameplay trailer, sorta-ish, from Stalker 2, which is slated to come out next year now. But this looked to get a bit of a downgrade from what they showed 2 years ago. What they showed 2 years ago was jaw-dropping. what we saw here looks a little bit to me like just Tarkov. As far as graphics, the gameplay though looked a lot better. It looks like you have more abilities, a lot more going on. There seems to be some supernatural stuff that's happening as well. And it looked good, and I'm still anxious to play. This is going to be something that's going to be on PC Game Pass. So I don't know if you guys watched that or not.
Yeah, I saw it. I always thought it looked okay graphically. Like I was never wowed by the way it looked. It looks like it feels good, like a good gunplay, right? Game feel.
It does. Yeah.
Is Stalker the franchise that's like super open world? Or is that there's some other Russian? Oh, it is Stalker.
Well, yeah, it was kind of open world when there wasn't a lot of open world.
Yeah,
that was the draw of the game. And I remember when it came out, it was like, hey, here's this new game. It's gonna beat the crap out of your PC because it was just very demanding. But
what is the game I'm thinking about that does like bullets for currency? It's kind of like Stalker.
Metro.
Oh, that's Metro.
Yeah, Metro is more of like an underground. Now it did go kind of open world with Exodus. Which I loved that game. I liked it a lot. And this looks to be more like that. Just open world.
Really? A little more
go find things
guided?
to do. Right. Yeah. Kind of more like an RPG, open world RPG.
Okay.
So I'm once again excited about that. A little apprehensive up until now, and the graphics don't. I mean, it doesn't have to look super great for you to enjoy a game. And then the next one was Off the Grid. And this is Neil Blomkamp's game. Yeah. Which we got a trailer at E3, which I think was just a CGI trailer.
Thick did this game so dirty. I'm so pissed at Thick.
What do you mean? What
Scott,
did I do?
What?
Did you click on Thick's link in the Discord?
Yeah.
So Thick did an IGN link, and the frame rate looked like it was about 12 FPS. The gameplay sections look like 12 FPS on that.
Yeah,
if you go on Off the Grid's developers YouTube channel, it looks like smooth.
Really?
Yeah, it's a lot better.
Even better. I mean, honestly, I don't care about frame rates in trailers. People emphasize it way too much.
Like you have to have a good.
It's just a trailer. I mean,
it's not indicative of the.
No. You're both. I don't know if Scott's wrong, but Thick, you're definitely wrong. This is promotional material being used to sell a game. If you're, if you're like, this is a 12 FPS trailer, that means that game is getting like it's getting pushed out the oven.
12 FPS.
All right, maybe it's 14 FPS.
It looks like it was off frames.
It was 24 FPS. It was cinematic.
Scott,
mute. They were just showing the Switch version.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but I definitely hope that they optimize that a little bit better. And maybe it is. IGN's not the best at showing the best of any game.
Yeah.
But the premise of it and the humor of it, I thought was funny. I mean, it's basically you're watching a YouTuber that's putting people in these situations and giving them, appendages that I guess have different abilities and stuff. I just like I like the sense of humor of it, and it just looks fun. I mean, it just looks like a fun game.
Yeah.
It's going to be an extraction /
battle royale. It's a battle royale.
Yeah, but it's also extraction, or it's I don't know. There's some other kind of element that they're. Yeah, he did.
It's a little confusing.
It is confusing.
Yeah.
But it looks interesting, and it's something that hopefully they'll have like a developer playthrough.
Right.
I think that's one of the games that probably could benefit from having somebody go, okay, here's what you're going to be doing in the game. Here's what's going to do.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely going to keep my eyes. As before, I was like, I don't care anything about this. Now I'm actually.
I mean, I think even with the name Neil Blomkamp, I'm a big fan of District 9. I think that's probably one of my favorite movies.
Yeah. He made the Halo Reach live action.
He was going to make the movie. He was going to make the movie, right?
He was. Yeah, that was actually props and stuff that they were going to use for the movie. And when it got tanked, he's like, "Oh well, I can use this for promotional stuff."
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of sad. He's a huge video game fan, obviously.
Two things I noticed about this trailer: third person for battle royale. That's a must. Do you guys both agree that's a must? Can't be doing first person.
I'm good either way, but for this game, it looks like it would benefit from third person.
Okay, and then another thing I noticed is the pace of play. It seemed like there's a lot of slow moving, which I always prefer slow moving.
Agreed.
Because it encourages, hey, let's devise a plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there was a little segment in it where the guy's sprinting, and I'm like, slow that character down, slow him down, because he's hitting a sprint button and he's doing like 50 miles an hour running. But
yeah, there's
other than that, it was slow.
Yeah, it looked like there was some like trip wires or something, or trip lasers. That,
little gadgets.
He led the guy into to blow him up. So yeah, maybe this is, I don't know. I mean, it looks interesting.
I have one more question for you regarding this game. It's apparently there was an IGN interview. He said they've said this a lot, but there's apparently 60 hours worth of story in this game.
Yeah, that's what's confusing too. They're not really saying what that is.
Right. What they kind of hinted at it in this trailer. They kind of hinted at it.
Yeah, it looks like it's the story plays out as you're playing the game.
Right.
Like there's not like a 60-hour, single player game, and then there's It's like maybe reminiscent of Titanfall, the first Titanfall, where you played multiplayer missions, and through those multiplayer missions, the story kind of unfolded as you played it.
Yeah, I would say maybe even like Exo Primal, the way that thing kind of unfolds. Like you play a certain amount, you get a cutscene. You play a certain amount, you get a cutscene.
Yeah. Maybe that's.
I think they did say in the interview. They did say like, I think what they're planning on doing is isolating. Like if you go and trigger a cutscene, I don't think any players can like come in your vicinity. I think everything's like blocked up.
Yeah.
So you can watch a 2-minute cutscene.
Right.
And then
So
get
it's
out
not
of
going to be like you're going to be watching a cutscene, somebody comes and just takes all your stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, or maybe you extract a certain item, and then that item will trigger the next cutscene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So
right.
yeah, I mean, it's in conversation. Everybody's talking about it because it just does look, kind of a hot mess, but a good one.
There was a scene in it where a character's like gliding over a building and he like lands behind another player, and it did look pretty janky. It looked like he's going in like slow motion, and then the character doesn't look behind him.
Right.
And then I noticed they did a slashing motion, and they cut before the slash hit, and I'm like, I think they might be doing that because they're not super confident in their animations.
It may not look that great.
What's the studio behind it? Do you guys?
I know Gunzilla.
Is that it?
Gunzilla might be the publisher.
Maybe. I didn't look. I looked at all of these, but not that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on. Okay, so the next one is Alan Wake 2. Are you guys excited about this? I didn't like the first one, but what I'm seeing in this game,
it's more Control to me.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that. Like what they did with Control, I really like.
Yeah. I liked just having another character, kind of going between the two characters and seeing the different points of view. And then there's also obviously like live action. Remedy likes to do live action stuff. In Control, there is an entire series of shows that you can watch on all of the TVs. And I think there's also some stuff in the hotel or the motel, if I remember correctly, on the TVs. They just make like live action stuff that you can watch. Cool. I don't think it worked very well in the last game. The name just popped right out of my head.
Quantum Break.
Thank you. I didn't enjoy that as much. I felt like it felt out of place, and then just went on too long. And anyway, but this looks like if it's incorporated into a horror setting, then I think it could work really well. So I am excited about that one as well. So you guys are not.
No, I mean, all I can really think about is probably going to be good because of how good Control was. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Control's probably other than the first Max Payne, I think that's probably their best game, or maybe Max Payne 2.
I have a real hard time watching any stories in modern media today. I'm so unimpressed with so much of it.
I agree with you to a certain extent. It's fine. I think things are written now for the sake of.
It's written for a 14-year-old demographic. Everything is written for 14-year-olds.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's.
And it's also it's so like I feel like it's not even smart 14-year-olds. There are smart 14-year-olds that can
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going. I was trying to find a smarter way of saying it, but yeah, it's dumb. It's just dumb. It's like
dumb.
It's like you can watch something and like in 5 minutes you're like, oh, it's obviously that person killed him. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah, and all characters have attitudes now. They all talk like high school kids. Alan Wake 2. Hopefully, it, goes
right.
past
That's
that.
what I'm saying. I mean, I see more. I see something more there, and I think it's worth checking out.
Yeah.
Because video game writing can be just horrendous. Looking at you, Horizon.
Yeah.
So anyway, we can move on to something. Actually, I saw this today. Was a couple of builds from Path of Exile 2. This game, every time I see it, looks better and better.
Yeah.
I think these guys just get it. I think that this is a huge contender for everything that's out there so far, including Path of Exile.
When's this coming out?
They don't have a release date yet. I think it's projected for next year. But they showed the Druid build, and they showed the, I think, Hunter or Huntress.
Something like that.
Build, something like that. And both of them
it's like a melee.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah. Yeah,
it's
basically
funny
a barbarian.
With the Druid, was it the Druid? Like, when you dodge, you roll. Like, the bear is just rolling. Like, it's so funny to look at.
Yeah. Well, it looks kind of natural, though, because a bear wouldn't, jump up and move over. He would roll
It doesn't
over.
do that thing with, in Diablo 4. It's just, like, kind of, it's like this, you got, like, these speed lines to one direction, how you dodge. But it looks very natural, which, I mean...
Yeah, it does. And it looks very detailed. It looks dark and detailed, which is what I like about Diablo 4. But the other build... What's that?
I have a question. That's me raising my hand.
Yeah, go ahead.
Me raising my hand. I think it was last week, Scott. You said like Path of Exile 1 does this. I thought you said you liked it. How your abilities are attached to these gemstones you put in weapons,
right?
As opposed to your character.
Right.
You know what I was thinking when you said that?
What's that?
I was like, well, like, what's the difference? Like, who cares how your menus affect your game? Like, I just care about like how it impacts the gameplay.
It directly impacts the gameplay.
So what? Explain to me how that happens, because I don't get it. I'm just like, so you have gemstones that turn you into a rogue class, and then you have a gemstones that turn you into a mage class.
No. Well,
explain it like I'm 5.
If you have a bow, okay, you have a bow that shoots arrows, obviously.
Right.
So it is a usable item. Okay.
Okay.
But if it has a socket on it and you have a gem that says that adds fire damage.
Okay.
Okay. So now you have fire damage to that bow. Okay.
Okay.
And so it does damage like as an arrow, like as a regular bow and arrow, but
plus
now
fire damage.
Right. And now you've got an ability, you've got a secondary attack that's fire. Okay. Okay, but later you get an ice arrow that does even more damage. Well, you can take that gem out of this same item, put the new gem in, and now you have another ability. Okay, well, let's say that bow has 3 slots. Now you can add both. So now you can have 3 abilities on that one item, as opposed to just leveling up and getting that, that ability into anything you're using.
And I would say in Diablo 4, it's a very curated build. Like, there's a lot of choices. There's tons of different ways to play the same character. But in Path of Exile, there's way more choices because, like, the combinations, there's, like, so many different combinations with gems. Because it's not just, like, fire and elemental, right? There's things like, your attack, you shoot 3 of the same attack out, or something like that.
Right.
So, like, say you combine that with a fire arrow too, so now it shoots 3 fire-based things out. So you can modify it based on that way, and these things will stack based on which item has like the link where you could link all the abilities together. And then you have to kind of like balance it, right? Because like you still want good stats, and you still it's I mean that's really part of the game. Like stats is a huge part.
And those gems actually they level up. So you use them for a period of time, and they'll go up, and the stats will improve as you use them. So the possibilities of your build are not limited to your class. Does that make sense? So like I'm playing the basically a ranger class, but I've got so much like elemental damage. It's almost like I'm playing like a mystic archer or something, right?
All right.
So it just gives you the freedom to kind of play around with that stuff. And plus the currency, there's no gold. I mean, you're not just picking up gold everywhere and, I need like 1,000 more gold to buy that axe. You're getting things that when you sell them, you get things that you can use with, upgrading your equipment, or, at least I'm sure later on you're going to be crafting stuff and things like that. So you're always having to think about what you need and what to get. It's not just gold. It's you're trading for other things.
In Diablo 4, if I have a ranger or a rogue that shoots fire arrows, and then I'm like, I want to do freeze arrows, can I respec my class? No problem, or does it really wants to lock you in?
You can respec that ability, or just basically turn it off and assign that ability to that other slot. But once you get to like level 30-ish, I think,
then it locks you in.
You have almost unlocked everything.
Okay.
And that's
so greater build variety,
absolutely.
build variety using this way. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm happy with that.
It's a little bit. It's just a smarter way of using abilities and using giving attributes to your character. It's not tied to who the character is. It's tied to what your character, what you've got on you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And of course,
nice.
Path of Exiles 2 just accentuates that, and hopefully will be cross-play, which the Path of Exiles is not.
Yeah.
There was an action RPG, I think it was shown at Gamescom, where it was like, I want to say it was like Egyptian themed or something.
Titan Quest.
Yeah, Titan Quest. And
Titan
I
Quest
remember
2,
reading the description of this is like, oh, it's much more strategic gameplay. So I click on it. I'm like, I love strategy. It looks exactly like Diablo to me. I'm like, that's just Diablo, and all these games look the same to me.
Yeah, it's strategic. I don't know what they mean by that.
What they mean by
it's
that, yeah.
Probably going to be something.
Yeah, you probably need to play it to really feel it, right? Because that's what it is, right? All these games are just like the same song with different beats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just find the one that kind of sings to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So is that the last game of your Gamescom highlights, Scott?
Pretty much. Starfield, of course, the live action trailer, and then, Todd Howard talking about it. And
I think that live action trailer, it gave me more emotions than the game ever will. Just me personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you'll have no emotions playing Starfield at all.
Everyone playing that game is going to get an inferior version of the trailer that I saw.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the trailer is the game.
It's taken a graphic and emotional hit.
Yeah,
exactly. Comes out.
This is why the game's 30 FPS, more cinematic.
More cinematic, that's right.
More emotional. Yeah.
All right, Thick, what about you? What were your highlights of the Gamescom?
It's just kind of like more major takeaways. Like, I would say like Xbox had a huge presence. Like their booth was huge.
Oh yeah, man.
Like and they did show off a lot of games they've been kind of talking about, like that are coming out this year. Let me see if I recall. I mean, Party Animals. That's one I don't really care for it, but like they're showing it. They showed stock or two, which was kind of unexpected. We already talked about that.
Yeah.
They didn't really present Starfield in like people can play it, right? Like, but they showed it like the opening in a curated way. And there's a lot of interviews coming out from that with Pete Hines and Todd. And Todd looks pretty tired. Like you could tell he's kind of like, oh, I'm ready to get this out the door.
Yeah. Yeah. He's probably sick of the PR stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So aside from that, Xbox major presence. No Sony, of course, but
right.
I mean, they pretty much did their little PR stuff with the PlayStation Portal, right? That's kind of what they did.
Right.
Yeah, they did at the same time and showed that. When are they going to show what's coming out next year?
I bet you September.
Everyone's waiting.
You think so? Okay.
I've looked into this. They do a state of play every like 4.5 months, I think. So I think
September is the month.
September.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe TGS. We still got TGS next month, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think PlayStation is going to have a big presence there, because I do think they try to put all their chips into these state of plays.
Yeah, true. Do you think Xbox will have a presence at TGS?
I
they haven't stated anything, but I would think so.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, especially if they got partnership with Kojima and
that's right.
Was it now supposed better partnership
Sega?
with Square? Yeah, Sega
Square.
too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what that. Well, regardless, not TGS isn't here yet.
Yeah.
One thing I did notice is they showed a lot of mobile games in a way. Let me try to give you the two examples I was thinking of.
I did skip those.
I
Assassin's
did
Creed
as well.
Jade. What was it?
Sorry.
Assassin's Creed Jade.
Yeah.
It actually looks very similar to Origins and
Console, yeah.
Odyssey. Yeah, like
Really?
I was surprised when watched the trailer. It looks like it's definitely scaled down to some extent, but like graphically, like it kind of hit me that cell phones are getting there in terms of like just like graphical prowess, or at least it's getting there to an extent. Maybe not like PS5 or anything. Maybe like 360 era.
Thick. The phone you have on you right now is better than your Switch.
Yeah, it is.
I'm just saying. It should look good.
True. One other game was One Punch Man World. That was a trailer, and I didn't even realize it was going to be mobile. Like it looked
really?
actually
Really?
like a
I didn't know that. either.
yeah. That one looked like something like the Naruto games that you were usually on console back in the day. So I was surprised to see that this was going to be on mobile. So maybe mobile game is kind of getting there. Hopefully, like these, I really wish like mobile games would move past that whole gotcha and all this weird mechanics that they're kind of bleeding into like console games to an extent, right?
Are they? Oh, I guess.
Yeah.
What's that big kind of single player?
Genshin
Impact. Yeah, that's true. That's
They just
super
put
popular.
Marvel Snap on Steam as well.
Yeah.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Is that a gotcha game?
No, it's just
card
mobile.
game.
But it's a
game.
mobile. It's mobile. Yeah.
It's a huge mobile game. Yeah.
Real quick before we move on, what's the premise of One Punch Man?
It's One Punch Man is an anime that kind of makes fun of like the main genre that people watch. Like the superhero,
Right.
Badass, can't lose
guy.
kind of thing. But basically, this guy is kind of like it's meant to be a funny parody on it, but it does actually it's very similar to those shows, but it makes fun of it along the way.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
So kind of comedic.
Yeah, I think if you're someone that watches a lot of those and you watch this is a nice like change of pace.
Satire.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but in the show, he basically he got so strong he could basically kill everyone in one punch. That's the premise.
Nice. That's my goal as well.
Yeah,
I'm not
all
there
you
yet.
gotta do.
I'm
Listen,
not there yet.
the thing is, you gotta do 100 push-ups, 100 pull-ups, 100 squats or something.
Every day, do that and you
Every
can do
day.
it.
Yeah, that's what the guy did, and now he can just one-shot everything.
Okay. All right. It takes me about 297 punches to kill him, man.
Okay, let's reduce that down to sub 100.
Yeah. All right. All right. So did that do it for you, Thick?
One more thing, I did see Escape from Tarkov Arena.
Oh,
So-
boo. Oh my God.
Distraction
Mute
shooter
him. Mute
It's going
him.
back to arena shooter.
It makes me. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
isn't this
okay,
odd? This is kind of weird, though, don't you think?
Yeah.
You want to know what the deal is? These arena modes are like they're just like warm up. They're like warm up for the
They're
main mode.
promoting the
Yeah.
extraction shooter.
Yeah, I guess so. It's just
It is a
on ramps.
standalone. It is standalone.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
It is a standalone.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so unappealing to me. But
Hey, this
people are
could
different.
this could this could be bigger than Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched it. It looked fine. I mean, it looks
it?
a little generic in some ways. Like when you take the extraction shooter out of Escape from Tarkov, it does feel a little generic. But the people really like the damage model to it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, really? The bullets are very precise. What game is the closest competitor to Tarkov Arena mode? Like which game do you think of when you see it?
I'd
Like
say
Counter-Strike? Is it
almost-
Counter-Strike?
I think the mode's kind of like a Counter-Strike-esque mode.
Okay, so it's very, very precision based.
Yeah, because if you get shot at certain limbs, you have to
Repair
repair
them.
that
Yeah,
limb.
you'll bleed out.
Oh,
It's
in an
definitely like
arena.
this is definitely like it takes some of that charm from Escape from Tarkov and puts it in an arena-based mode. Because it's not like you respawn and you come back. It's like you're dead for that round.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
so that is like CS:GO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm interested in it just because of the well, I mean, like in Call of Duty, I played a lot of Call of Duty, and I played it recently actually because I'm wondering where Call of Duty 2 is, but I mean not Call of Duty, I'm sorry, Counter-Strike. I'm wondering where Counter-Strike 2 is, and in Counter-Strike it feels limited to me after playing these modernized games for so long. So if there's a version of that kind of modernizes, like aiming down sight, the graphics, the hitbox, the damage, like getting hit in the arm, stuff like that. I'm interested in that. I want to see what their take is on that. Because if you do, like you said, the damage model of that is going to slow your game down. You're not running and gunning. This is, I mean, it doesn't even really sound much like an arena, but you're not going to be doing like a Call of Duty or like bunny hops in Counter-Strike.
Right.
You're going to have to be very methodical and
get to the choke point and
exactly. You're going to have to do some strategy. So I don't know. See what it looks like.
All right, let me jump into my highlights here. Did you guys see the Delta Force Hawk Ops trailer?
Yes, it did.
I did. Yeah.
All right, here's my question. Is this a Rainbow Six game? Is this a Battlefield game? Or is this a Call of Duty game? Because it looked like all three.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is all three.
Yeah.
That's amazing that, a lot of times in the industry, people are like, there's Halo killers, there's Zelda killers, there's Uncharted killers.
Killer.
This game is killing 3 other games. That's impressitive.
It is. It looks very ambitious.
It does.
And it looks good. I mean, from the trailer, it looks fine. I mean, the graphics look a little bit dated, but I mean, the gameplay.
Because part of me is like, it actually looks, the graphics look nice, and then maybe the animations are a little dated or something.
Yeah, a little bit, maybe a little bit jank. But, Delta Force, the game itself has always had, it's had a deep following, but it's also had its share of a little bit of jank. Even the first versions were voxel based at the time, but it allowed you to be on this huge open battlefield where you had to have a scope to see your enemy. Like they were that far away, whereas most games were very limited and close up and polygon based. So and they made 5 or 6 of the Delta Force, and then even more like, runoff games. So I'm kind of glad to see this come back in such a large way. But yeah, I'm concerned that this has just kind of come out of nowhere.
I know,
to be this big.
Something's
something's a little off on it. So I don't know. Did it have a release date? I forgot at the end of it. It didn't really say anything, did it?
Yeah, so like I was looking, like the developer, I don't really know who the developer is. That's the thing.
Nova Logic was the original one.
Yeah, this is an Asian developer, which given like how. Nah, well, actually, that's another thing. There's this one developer name that's been popping up a lot. I think it's
Nexon.
Nexon.
No, it's like something Next Infinity, or I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure I can find it. Okay, let me find the name.
Is this going to be one of those games where we're going to get trailers for 2 years and then it's
that's what my concern is.
And be
it feels like it's the studio behind
what
the
it's
behind the day before.
Right.
Those guys.
Yeah.
Level Infinite. That's the name that's been popping up.
Yeah.
A lot. That is a part of Tencent. Actually, yeah, Level Infinite, like another trailer that went on was Command and Conquer Legions, which is a mobile game.
Yeah.
But Level Infinite seems to be working on a lot of projects. I think they were working on Saint. Remember that game, right?
Oh yeah.
Where is that?
Looked like a game. Well.
Yeah, we're gonna keep a magnifying glass on that guy because that just looks too good.
Guys, this game kind of ties in with my next game that I wanted to bring up. Did you guys see the Crimson Desert gameplay trailer?
Yes. Yeah.
Was this Nexon? This feels like this was from a Korean company.
This was Nexon, isn't it? Because it's the same company that made it's a single player set in the world of. Is it Black Desert? Black Desert, yeah, which is an MMO. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But this is another game that looked like it was like 5 games in one, where they're doing like weird physics things over here, then they were doing like Dynasty Warriors over here.
That's like the MMO. It's
Oh, is it?
Well, what I played of the MMO, I played not long of it, but it looks amazing, and all of those things you see in the trailer, you do in the MMO.
So it is an impressive. Yeah.
Right. So in this trailer, I'm assuming that everything you're seeing in the trailer, you're going to be doing in the game. Just
which they
how
kept
it's
unleashing more stuff in this trailer.
Yeah. The first trailer that they showed of this, I think it was 2 years ago. It didn't look as flashy. It looked good.
It's flashy now,
but it looked like a slower paced, more. It just looks slower. This looks really, really like flashy and fast, and I don't know.
So wait, did you guys try Black Desert? Or
no.
I played a little bit of it. Looked amazing. I played it on Xbox.
It looked amazing, yeah.
And it's very flashy.
A little hard to get into, I'd say.
Yeah, I couldn't really get into it because there was the tutorial and the introduction of that game was really weird. But maybe this will be a little bit better. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it looks good.
Yeah. The last game I want to bring up is this Black Myth Wukong trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you guys don't know this, but I actually played this game. I played under the moniker Armored Core 6.
Yeah, I knew where this was going.
Yeah, you just run up to AI,
you
circle around them, you dodge, you do all that stuff.
Yeah, the developers had this stated that this is not like Dark Souls, and
it is like Dark Souls.
Yeah, I feel like if you have to say that, if you feel like you have to say no, this is not like Dark Souls, it is absolutely 100% exactly like Dark Souls. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is basically their Elden Ring.
Right.
Yeah.
The only other question I have about this is this is a huge story in Asia, the Monkey King story.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys know what this story is like? They keep retelling the story in different formats, right?
I don't know the exact story.
Yeah, it was told in Enslaved as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the game that was a fantastic game by
Ninja Theory.
Ninja Theory. Yeah. But it was the same premise. But I didn't finish it.
You don't know the beats of the story, though?
It's about a guy that helps a girl get from one end of China or whatever to the other. It's a journey. But I didn't finish the game, so I don't. But that's really the extent I know of the story. That's what it was based on, Enslaved.
Okay. And I guess it did take a little bit of maybe a visual hit. It kind of looks more like remember when that game first got revealed? It was
it was jaw-dropping.
Yeah. Now it just looks like a pretty decent looking game.
Why did they?
It still looks good.
It still looks good, but I kind of wonder. Is that just an investment thing? Are they showing this stuff at the highest possible quality scripted event that looks like gameplay to get people to invest in it, and then it's
Yeah. Well, if that game didn't look very good 2 years ago, we won't be talking about it.
Right.
I feel like that made such a splash at the time that
it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna do it for me, unless you guys have anything else to bring up right now.
Other than was it Bill Clinton wants to play GTA 6?
I didn't understand that reference. Someone rushed the stage again.
Yeah.
And he sat in the mic.
Yeah, that's what he said in the mic, and then they kept saying GTA 6, and then they were escorted off the tiny stage.
Yeah.
I have something to say.
The Keighleys are under attack.
Go ahead.
Well, my thing is on the internet, and I'm creating this internet monster that it's stupid to even say it, but I'm seeing a lot of these things where it's dangerous for these people to go up there. Keighley must protect himself because one of these people could be a nutbag, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's true.
Developers do get death threats, and they're at Gamescom.
Yeah, all right. I guess that I'm just that nutbag is sitting in an audience, he's sitting next to a bunch of random people. Any nut job could attack anybody, but I guess we care.
That's just anywhere you go, but it gives the illusion that there is no security at this thing,
right.
And that could cause a problem.
And that doesn't seem like an illusion. That seems like maybe a reality.
Yeah, it sounds like a reality.
Yeah.
Or the fact that maybe in the audience next year you're gonna get an invitation and not just be some random dude that walked in.
Well, yeah, this definitely is. Yeah, it's because of that. Like security is important. Like we don't want Kojima to get like shanked for no reason.
Yeah.
It's by some guy walking
Where's
on.
Death Stranding too? Yeah.
Let me tell you why I'm defending this crazy guy though, right? So I go to sporting events, and during like football games, you always see streakers go out on the field. Like every game you go to, they never show it on TV because they're not trying to encourage it. Everyone, all 80,000 people in the arena are rooting for the streaker, not the streaker, but the guy running on the field, not to get tackled. They're just like keep going, dodge the security.
Okay, yeah, it's all fun and games until someone gets hurt. I'll just say that, right?
Yeah, but that's true for everything.
Like, well, I think this is more like where they're interviewing. They're trying to interview like a foot, and somebody's behind them going, you know.
I know.
And,
I know.
They just want their 15 seconds of fame.
Right.
But as far as like the presentation and as a whole, I didn't really give much thought to this, but I watched David Jaffe's take on the first day, the opening and everything. And he said something that now I can't stop thinking about. But he said that they should really get someone to host this show and not Jeff Keighley. Jeff Keighley does this thing, and it's his show, and he does, it's his production. But what do you guys think about that? I mean,
disagree totally.
Really? Why?
I love Jeff Keighley. I think he's actually really good at what he does.
You
no,
think
I love him. I love him.
Okay.
And the next award show, I'm going to go up on the stage and I'm going to tell him I love him.
Fair.
And to show you GTA 6.
What is Jeffy's point? Like, what? He doesn't think he's good at it? I feel like he's very professional. He speaks very well. I think he's a great representative.
I think he's boring.
You think he's boring?
Yeah, I think he's not.
You want Joel McHale? You want Joel McHale up there?
Oh, God,
remember when
no.
he did?
That was just terrible.
I feel like when I see Jeff Keighley, I'm like, that's a gamer who kind of like. I mean, I kind of. I don't look up to him, but I kind of respect him a little bit more than like just getting an actor to host it.
Yeah, I mean,
he used to be doing narration for game trailers. Remember that?
Yeah.
And now he's just hosting shows. So
I mean, it's fine. I mean, not that it's a lesser production with him doing it. I just think that if there's plenty of actors or celebrities, I guess I should say, that are gamers that know about gaming that could probably just, I think.
Terry Crews. He's a gamer.
Right. But just somebody that could host it, that could elevate it a little bit more out of that. Because anybody walking into a room, it's like, who is this dude? They don't know who he is. But if it's somebody they know, they're like, oh, what is this? This is a what? I'm watching a what?
No.
Yes, absolutely.
Let me tell you why, though.
Why?
All his, at least his VGAs, his VGAs over the last 10 years have gone crazy numbers. Like, the last 3 VGA awards have done insanely well in terms of viewership.
Right.
And I'm like, people are tuning in. They're not tuning in really for, who did the Oscars all the time? That little comedian, big in the 80s and early 90s. He's a little, he was in like City Slickers, I think.
Oh, Billy Crystal.
Yeah, Billy Crystal would always do it. And I'm like, no one cares about Billy Crystal, right? We're here to see.
Speak for yourself.
All right. Big Billy Crystal
I like Billy
fans
Crystal.
here. He's not bad. I'm not saying he's bad. But...
No, I know what you're saying. I mean, he's just not relevant anymore, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll give you that. I just kind of agree with him. I think that if they had somebody that hosted that was funny or entertaining, I mean, that's what a host for something like this is. Now, the Game Awards, he's just presenting game. He's just going, okay, up next is this. It's perfectly fine. But this is something where he's on stage and he's talking to people and he's kind of like bringing it all together. I think for this, he would benefit from having somebody. I mean, even if it was, what's the guy's name? The guy that made It Takes Two. The guy that said...
Joseph Ferris.
Ferris. Yeah. I mean, even if you had that guy, I just think it would be more entertaining. If there's not somebody on stage or he's not showing me something that I want to see, I am falling asleep. I mean, he's just boring.
Thick. The fence is a razor. The fence is a razor. You cannot sit on this fence. Are you Camp Scott or are you Camp Nate?
This is it. This is it, Thick. You have to pick a side. This is the one.
It will cut you in half. It will cut you in half.
What was the name of the guy? Joseph Ferris, right?
Yeah.
You know what? The Bill Clinton kid kind of looks like him.
Yeah, he kind of does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Okay,
Maybe
but
that's his son.
He's still not. He's avoiding the question.
He is avoiding the question. He's
No,
like,
no,
I'm
no,
not.
I had to bring that up real quick. But I am a Keighley stan.
All right, you are.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Yeah. Don't you regret that now, Scott? Oh, look how
no,
embarrassed
I still.
you feel.
I mean, that's how I feel about it. I mean, if I may be me and David Jaffe are the only ones that think that, but
Yeah.
That's okay. David Jaffe's on your side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
or
2 to 2.
I'm more like on his side because again, I didn't think about it. But then when he said that, I'm like, man, that makes total sense. I mean, that would be so much better.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, not that I make any decisions, but
Yeah.
maybe he'll
Guys,
see
reset
that and
the
get somebody
clock.
next
The
year.
video game awards are getting one day at a time. They're getting closer and closer.
It's December 22nd, I think they announced.
Is that really?
Something like
25th.
that. 25th. Yeah, 25th. It's on Christmas. Move Christmas. Video Game Awards coming through. Something like that. But yeah. Okay, so far, just throwing it out there, as of right now, what's your pick? Game of the year?
I'll go Baldur's Gate 3.
Thick?
I think 96, and it's a studio I feel like people kind of root for, kind of subconsciously or maybe consciously.
I could see that. I'm kind of between that and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that too. Yeah, I guess.
Starfield will be good, but
Yeah.
we got to see what happens once it releases.
You got to play it. Well, having not played Tears of the Kingdom and played Baldur's Gate 3, Baldur's Gate 3 is probably my
over
pick.
that one.
Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, I like Baldur's Gate 3. Even though I'm probably never going to play Baldur's Gate 3. At least your choices matter. At least you make a choice and then it impacts the rest of your gameplay.
Well, there you go. You're halfway to being a game journalist.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You could probably go write for Rock Paper Shotgun right now.
Yeah, you should write for Forbes.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I do want to bring this up. Paul Tassi did something that irks me no end. So do you guys know?
Yeah.
Do you remember last week? I think it was a Twitter user by the name of Grums. He's a World of Warcraft developer, and he's So he tweeted out something like he used some fancy word, some 4-syllable word to describe the start screen for Starfield, right?
I think it was, or something like that. Yeah.
It was something like that.
Yeah.
Paul Tassi goes, "This is a word that Nazis used. It was popularized by Nazis." Somehow saying that maybe this Grumsy's a morally corrupt person, and he's like a Nazi.
He said Nazi.
You gotta send me this.
Wow.
It was so annoying. I'm like, Paul Tassi is such a Redditor, like low level.
He's riding off his ego, just getting clicks off of Reddit articles that he repurposed, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
God, that's just terrible. What are these? PC Gamer it just makes me, and I dare say 20 years ago, these were the people that told you this is what you're going to be playing next year. This is what you're going to be. This is what you're going to need. This is what you're going to buy. We have an authority. Rob Story, which was the editor, was a phenomenal editor. He went on to do PC Accelerator, I think. Another fantastic magazine. And it seems like later when he quit, when he retired, and I think later died of cancer, if I remember. But this is what we get. And then everything went to social media, and it's just about clicks. So like journalism gaming journalism they just can't be trusted. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I guess it's common sense. Like if a Paul Tassi figure was in your life back in the early 90s, like anyone that just repeatedly says insane things, you'd kind of shun them a little bit. But because it's the internet and he's just clickbait.
Yeah.
I feel like people are just like, oh, I'll click on it.
Yeah, it just takes one thing for you to agree with and follow them. And then everything after that is just,
Right.
You just get the clicks.
Yeah. Gentlemen, that was a podcast.
Or two.
It might have been two.
Yeah.
Oh, we're good.
Scott, how do people interact with the show?
Leave us a comment below, right now, as you're watching this. Just say, hey, just leave us, I'm not a bot. Give us something to talk about. Give us a topic.
Yeah.
Let us know what you like or don't like about the show. We can take it.
Or Keighley.
Adults.
Do you like Keighley?
Yeah. Do you like Keighley? Do you think Keighley should have somebody take over? Somebody, and if you do, who?
Yes.
Open discussion down below. And we're also on audio podcast, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. You can catch us
Trying to
there.
get the show on MTV as well.
Yeah.
We're not quite there yet, but
Yeah. We have to bring MTV back and then do that. Yeah.
yeah. Vic, take us to school briefly. Briefly to school.
Briefly? Okay.
Yes.
Anyone that can make you angry becomes your master.
Paul
Ooh,
Tassi.
that's a good
Paul
one.
Tassi is my master. I like it. Very
Bow to
fitting.
Paul
That was
Tassi.
good.
That's very good.
I try.
That may have been one for the beginning of the show.
Yeah, I wouldn't have brought that up then. Yeah. All right, everyone. We will see you on Monday. Every Monday.
Yes.
Aloha.
Aloha. Have a great week. Keep playing.
Yeah.
Starfield coming out.
Yeah.
Yep.